Hello and good evening to all of you. My friends, today we will discuss one more climate that is called the cool, temperate, continental, also called Siberian climate. So, first thing first, the distribution of this kind of climate, if you see on this map, so as far as the latitudinal expansion is concerned, so this kind of climate is visible between 45 to 65 north and south. 45 to 65 north and south. But in the south, actually the presence of landmass, you can say, in this expansion, in this latitudinal expansion, is almost negligible. That's why we also experience this cool, temperate, continental or Siberian climate on the southern portion, almost negligible. How it will be negligible, I will explain in due course of time. So the first place in the northern hemisphere which represents this cool, temperate, continental, Siberian climate, this portion, this is also called Siberia. Alright, so this Siberia, and by the way, map is not very clear, but for your understanding I think it is sufficient. And this is Norway. So in the upper portion of the Norway, this climate is present, and you come Canada. In Canada also there is a belt of this cool, temperate, continental, Siberian climate. This belt, you can see, starts somewhere from here, and it comes parallelly to this point. This is called Newfoundland, where the Titanic sunk in 1912. So in the northern hemisphere, these three places are representing this cool, temperate, continental, Siberian climate. Now let's come in the southern hemisphere. Look, the latitudinal expansion of this is Africa. The latitudinal expansion of this African continent is not more than, if you see in the actual map, it is not more than 35. Alright, and the Australia, this goes maximum, I think 38 or 39 something maximum. But here we are talking between 45 to 65. So there is no any land mass at all. However, I mean this South America, Chile is there. So yes, Chile actually it is you can say beyond this 38 and 39. So we experience a certain amount of this kind of climate, and especially on those areas, those are located on the, you can say, elevated places, or the altitude of those places is somewhat more. Why the altitude is required? Because you must know that on that side is the Pacific Ocean, and on this side the Atlantic Ocean is there. So if altitude is not, then what will happen? The maritime effect, and in maritime effect the temperature is not you can say too less. But for this kind of in Siberia, everybody is aware what kind of cold is there or climate is there. So that's why in the southern Chile, those places which are highly elevated, in those places we can experience this climate. In the same way, here, this is called New Zealand. In the southern portion of New Zealand and in Tasmania, the places which have a great amount of elevation or a height from the ocean level, so as you go in the height, the temperature will decrease, and this kind of climate does not exist in equator where we experience every time the sunlight. So the elevation is playing a very significant role, especially in the southern hemisphere. Why? Because the presence of land mass which comes under this latitudinal expansion is very less in the southern hemisphere, because the water bodies are there. So this is the distribution of the cool, temperate, continental, Siberian climate. As far as the temperature is concerned, so let me tell you, in these kinds of climates, you must know that once the world's lowest temperature was recorded in Verkhoyansk. There is a place called Verkhoyansk. It is in Siberia. I think almost 137 degrees Celsius in minus. In minus.
Minus 137.
All right. So this kind of severe temperature was recorded. So these places are one of the coldest places on the planet Earth. Now, one more thing I would like to tell in connection to this cool, temperate, continental Siberian climate, that as the temperature is very low, behind this kind of low temperature, some stormy winds are also responsible. For instance, one wind which is very famous in USA, that is called blizzard. Blizzard. It is so dangerous that it comes no matter what is there, the thing gets covered with the snow. If you are parking your car and the blizzard comes, you cannot recognize where your car has gone. A thick layer covers all the things which come in the contact of this blizzard. In the same manner, in Siberia, there is a cold, stormy wind called Buran. Buran is experienced in Siberia. So these places are very difficult to live for the people. But as the population is growing like anything, India has defeated China. You know, Indian beds are more fertile than Indian farms. It was the essay which is asked in school time. That time people were not understanding the meaning of this. Anyway, so this Buran and blizzard, these chilly icy winds when crosses, then means the life becomes very difficult. As far as the crops are concerned, so these are not very suitable for the crop production, because of the temperature and the terrain does not allow to grow the crop. Because what happens that as you cross, and one more thing I want to tell you, that in Siberia, All right, this zone is also called taiga. This one is also called taiga. Taiga is a sort of vegetation, and as you cross taiga you will come in the contact of tundra, where you will you will get nothing. And below taiga this merges with steppe type of climate. So above is the tundra, and below, I mean, I am telling where they are merging, the convergence zone of this climate. On the top side is the tundra, and on the downside is the steppe. In vegetation, I would like to talk about the coniferous forest. Coniferous. These, by the way, these are also, seen in, if you are planning to spend your summer holidays somewhere in Shimla or Manali, you can see the coniferous forest. So these kinds of, because the temperature is very low. All right, the temperature is very low, that's why the other vegetation cannot survive. And these coniferous trees are made to survive in this kind of tough terrain or in this kind of climate. Because the coniferous, what is the specialty? That the leaves of coniferous, they are downward like this, like this, and piercy in nature. And what happens, that the leaves, they are waxy as well. As a result, what happens, when the snowfall happens, the snowfall does not get enough time or space to live on the leaf. As the snow falls on the leaf, at the same time it falls down or it slips off. So leaves don't get much time to possess that snowfall. And this speciality or this kind of characteristic is visible in coniferous forest. That's why you will see they always standing and smiling. And these coniferous forests are economically very important for these people, because the wood of these coniferous forest is very light, and that wood, by the way, it has various uses. But in the pulp industry, in the newspapering in industry, newspaper industry, this wood is used a lot because it is soft in nature. And in the paper industry, this kind of wood is preferred a lot. By the way, in other there are other uses as well. Other than this, what happens, that as the climate is very chilly in nature, the temperature is very low, so the animals, those are found in this kind of climate, they naturally have a fur to protect themselves against this kind of winter or against this kind of low temperature. It is natural one. The polar bear, by the way, that is in pole, but polar bear has a skin which is 3 or 4 times thicker than our blanket which we use during winter. So nature has gifted to that polar bear so that he could survive over there. In the same way, in this zone there are so many species. And what is happening with those species, I am telling you the name of one species, that is called silver fox. Silver fox. The wool of this fox is so soft that it has developed a huge demand in the international market. And because of this demand and because of the cost of this wool of this silver fox, people are hunting this silver fox, they are capturing and killing their freedom, which is, I mean, completely against this animal rights. But to earn money and to these kinds of things, they are capturing, and I mean, they are, you can say, their life is very risky. So these silver fox and other animals, they are placed in a cage, and what happens when enough wool is generated in their body, people cut it and make the products and sell it in the international market. So this thing is also done there. Other than this, I would like to tell about the rivers. Some of the rivers, those are present here. The one river that is the longest river of Europe. Could you tell me the name of that river? The longest river of Europe.
Lena.
No. Lena is the longest river of Russia. The longest river of Europe is Volga.
Volga?
Yes, Volga. Lena is the longest river of Russia. One river is, I think, Ob. Okay. So, all these rivers, they are completely in frozen state for 5 to 6 months. Sometimes in case of Lena, it goes 7 months. So just see, means how difficult is there to live. So these were some of the characteristics of this cool, temperate, continental Siberian climate. We have discussed their distribution. We have discussed this blizzard and buran. We have also discussed the animals, the uses of their fur, the coniferous forest and their uses. Other than this, the Verkhoyansk, the coldest place, latitudinal expansion, which you have to keep in mind always, 45 to 65. So these are some important characteristics of this kind of climate. If we are keeping in mind at least even this much information, I think we can tackle a certain amount of questions asked by the various competitive examinations. Thank you very much.